You're listening to Keeping It Real with Janine, your guide to living an authentic, healthy life. I'm Janine Strong, your guide, and every 2 weeks I have a fun, inspiring conversation with an ordinary person leading an extraordinary life. And today my conversation is with Feng Shui expert Lisa Garcia. Now, Lisa Garcia is a certified Feng Shui consultant, and she studied with Marie Diamond. She's a Feng Shui master and creator of the Diamond Feng Shui Compass School method. She is also a certified numerologist and astrologer, and we're going to be getting into those areas today too. She enjoys combining these modalities with her intuitive powers to create cosmically aligned environments for her clients. And I'm excited for this conversation. Hi, Lisa. How are you?
Hi, Janine. I'm great. Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here with you.
Well, so am I, because we just had a really fascinating pre-conversation. So you've got a lot of information here to share with people and help them to navigate this year so that perhaps their challenges are going to be easier to move through and overcome.
Yes, definitely. There's a lot of things happening in the universe right now that are really supporting all of us to move into higher levels of consciousness and happiness and well-being. So I'm really excited to talk about these things with you.
Awesome. Well, I am too, because I don't know about you, but last year was pretty challenging for me. So
Yeah. Yes. You and many people that I know, including myself, had, a very challenging year last year. Definitely.
Okay, well, let's start with Feng Shui. And what is Feng Shui? Why should we be interested in it?
Yes. Well, Feng Shui is from China.
Mm-hmm.
It is really an ancient practice of moving energy, and it literally means wind and water.
Mm-hmm.
So it is using the natural elements in a way that supports the highest levels of happiness and health and wealth for people in their environment. And it started about probably more than 6,000 years ago in China. And originally, Feng Shui was only available to the wealthy and to the noble classes of people. And the Feng Shui masters were extremely, extremely in demand people who, only worked with those higher levels of society. And then at some point, there were a few teachers who really had to break away because they believed that everyone deserved to know this information and to be able to benefit from it. And they actually had to leave China to go and to spread this knowledge and information. And that's eventually how Feng Shui, did, arrive to the Western world, was through these people who, they were kind of pioneers. Mm-hmm. And they shared this information. And now there are many people who are masters and who are consultants throughout the world. And of course, there are different schools of Feng Shui that are used. They all have their benefits, and they all have, they're all good. I personally learned the school of Feng Shui that's called Compass Feng Shui, and it obviously uses a compass to take the direction of your front door. That's the first thing that you do in Compass Feng Shui. And that's used to analyze every area of your space based on the direction of your front door. Mm-hmm. So we learned that was the most accurate way of looking at Feng Shui, but there's also Black Hat Feng Shui, which uses the Bagua, and mm-hmm. a lot of people use that and are happy with the Bagua. And it's, again, it's a good starting point. I think the Bagua is amazing. And even if that's all you ever do, just it's an awareness and a consciousness kind of a process, I think. And, however you get there is your path. But again, Compass Feng Shui is what I've learned and used.
Mm-hmm. And what is the Bagua?
The Bagua it's a square that's divided up into 6 areas, and you place it over your floor plan, and I believe you put the south direction at your front door always. So the bagua, it's going to be the same for everyone's home. And it has different areas for each one of the squares within the square that, health and relationships and your abundance and your wisdom. It covers all of the main areas of life.
Okay.
In Compass Feng Shui, it's a similar kind of a square. It's called the Lo Shu Square, actually. And those change based on your front door direction. So everybody's space is going to be different. And they also change every year. You look at the Lo Shu in a different way every year. And there are numbers that are associated with each one of the little squares in the bigger square. And those are really, really important, actually. And I wanted to talk about that because this year we're in the year of the Earth Pig. And that's as opposed to last year, which was the year of the Earth Dog. Okay. And yeah, that's a very different energy.
How so?
Well, the Earth Dog was very, last year had an unbalanced kind of a feel to it, and it was a very masculine energy. This year, the energy that's associated with the Earth Pig is much more feminine and much more balanced energy. So that's one of the reasons, like I was saying, that the energies this year are just a lot more supportive for just being, well-being, for happiness, for abundance, for just feeling more in tune with your purpose. And the Earth Pig energy really supports that. And also something that's really beautiful this year, the Lo Shu Square that I was talking about, and I mentioned the numbers that are located within each one. The most important number every year in the Lo Shu Square is the number in the center. And this year we have the 8 in the center, which is amazing. The number 8 is really universally known, not just in, Feng Shui or in Chinese culture, but pretty much worldwide, as the abundance number. And it's also associated with the infinity symbol. If you turn it sideways, an 8 looks like an infinity symbol. So it's really cosmically connected to abundance and well-being. And like I said, that 8 is in the center. So that means it permeates really the energy of every space this year. And that's amazing, because some years you will have a less fortunate number, like maybe a 5 or a 3. Those in Compass Feng Shui are considered not really lucky numbers. So in those kind of years, you're going to have more challenging energy to deal with.
What was was in the center last year?
Last year it was, what was it? I can't remember exactly. I think it was the 3. It was something, it was definitely not as positive of a number. And so that, also fed into the Earth Dog energy. So it made everything challenging. It really did. And it permeated the entire year, and it made it harder for, people to feel good. But it really was meant for a purpose. I think it was meant to shake us up and to get us kind of uncomfortable, because, we're all meant to ascend to higher levels of consciousness. And that's what last year was about. This year is about settling more into that abundance energy and that more feminine, actually more balanced feminine and masculine energy. And like I was saying, the 8 in the center really supports that, and it makes abundance available for everyone. So it's a really beautiful energy.
Interesting. So how does Feng Shui, how does the space that you live in affect you mentally, emotionally, physically, and how can Feng Shui enhance the positive aspects?
Well, Feng Shui is, I mean, really at a very basic level, it's the energy in your space.
Okay.
And even if you don't even look at, the Lo Shu Square or the Bagua, I think everybody, if you really tune in to yourself, you feel an energy when you walk into any space,
Mm-hmm.
whether it's a, public building or, a school or a store, but especially in your home, you're spending, a majority of your time there. And especially the time that you're sleeping is really, really important because, you're rejuvenating, you're resting, you're, connecting with the divine, you're dreaming, your sleeping space. If you don't feng shui anything in your home, your bedroom really should be ideally situated for, your particular feng shui and for your particular energy.
Mm-hmm.
So it is, the energy is affecting you based on how you're interacting with the way things are set up in your space. And at a very basic level, even before you think about, the real specifics of feng shui, look at your level of clutter. That's, it sounds really simple and it's, kind of a buzzword, everybody's doing Marie Kondo and,
Mm-hmm.
all of that, but it really is, it's the basic building block for feng shui. Is you need to look at the clutter in all of your spaces, but especially in your bedroom and especially in, if you have a home office also, those are two super important areas to look at and to declutter immediately.
Oh dear, I'm looking around.
I know, me too. I have areas I need to work on still too, but yeah, it is extremely important because that clutter it's impacting the flow of energy through your space.
Mm-hmm.
It's impeding the flow of energy, especially if you have anything at your front door that's built up, if you have things next to the front door. The front door is considered really the mouth of energy into your home. So you want it to be clear, you want it to be open, you want it to be allowing energy to come freely into your space.
Now, a lot of people have mud rooms, right? Right. I mean, you walk in and there's all the coats and the boots and
Right. Yeah, not ideal, not super ideal for feng shui. If, it's a functional aspect that you need, in some homes. But yeah, if you can keep it as neat and clean as possible, that's just going to help enhance your feng shui.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Now, I'm not as familiar with the Compass school of Feng Shui and the fact that the front door facing a certain direction and all of this changing every year. I think that's really fascinating because it really keeps it keeps it moving and in the flow.
Yes, exactly. Mm-hmm. And that's why I was drawn to that particular school of feng shui, I think, because it does change and it is more in tune with the energy of each year. But, as I said, some people feel really drawn to the bagua and they're happy with, the results that they've received. And it's a very popular method of feng shui. So, I don't want to say one is good and one is bad necessarily. I think, it's a matter of, finding your personal preference. And I think the bagua is more accessible for a lot of people because, it doesn't change. Once, you've laid it over your home, you're set and you can tweak things and, you can, obviously make changes, but I think some people are a little more intimidated with Compass Feng Shui because of, the constant changes. You do have to be more on top of it, definitely, if you're going to, kind of buy into the Compass method.
Mm-hmm. Well, now I understand why Doria Cordova, who she's been on the podcast, and I also have another recording with her that I will be putting up. Why she said she has you come once a year.
Yes, exactly. Yes, we go and I change everything for her, and we really, yeah, according to the year's energy. And I know she's had some great results. So, yeah, it's been really fun working with her.
Well, she's a very fun person anyway. She's quite adorable.
She's
So,
beautiful,
yeah.
yes.
So, okay. So when you say the front door is facing, are you talking about standing from the inside of your home and looking out that direction it's facing? Or if you're standing in front of your front door on the outside and that's the direction? Well, how?
Yes, what you said the first time is you stand inside, just inside your front door, facing out,
Okay.
and you hold, either an actual compass or, there are plenty of compass apps that you can download on your phone. You hold it kind of at your belly button level and
Okay.
straight out,
Mm-hmm.
and that's where you're going to get the most accurate reading.
Mm-hmm. And then how are things organized around that?
Well, then you would take the Lo Shu Square, which has the 9 different divisions within it, and you would put the direction of your front door at the top in the center, and then that kind of shifts around all of the other. I wish we had a visual here where it would make it easier,
Mm.
but that's how you orient it. Let's say your front door faces south. You would have south at the top of your square in the middle, and then
Mm-hmm.
that way you can see the orientation of the whole rest of your space.
Got it. Now, I would think if I did a search online that maybe I could find some uh feng shui maps or what's it called? Low.
Yes, it's the so Lo, and then capital Shu, Lo Shu Square.
Because what I was thinking is I could I'll see if I can find some and then I could do screenshots or whatever and put them on the podcast webpage so that people could look at
Yes.
those. So I'll see if
Yes.
I'll see what I can find to do that. Okay.
Well, I
So
can help you with that too.
oh, great. That'll be great. That'll be fun. So then how do you use this information?
Well, you use it in the matter of every year there are different numbers in each one of the 9 little subdivisions
Okay.
of the Lo Shu Square.
Mm-hmm.
So, like for example, I was saying in the center we have the 8, and then we have actually something that's also really, really nice this year is the 8 is in the center, and then the 6 and the 1 are on either side of it. So that's a really nice placement. Also, the 6 is considered heavenly energy in Chinese culture and in feng shui especially. And then the 1 is considered victory energy. So having the 6 and the 8 and the 1 all lined up is really nice. Usually they're not in that kind of a configuration.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a really beautiful energy to have the 8 is in the center, the 1 is in the west, and the 6 is in the east. So we have east, center, and west with this beautiful heavenly, victorious abundance energy. And it's pretty unusual to have that. So, again, just this is a super special year for a lot of reasons. And this is one that really just enhances everybody's abundance and well-being, and your ability to really manifest is great this year.
Interesting. So if people have a project or a goal that they've really wanted to move forward with and really work on, this would be the year to do it.
Yes, definitely.
So then how does your space, besides working on clutter, how can you enhance this energy for people in their home, in their living space or their workspace?
Yes. Well, I love to work with crystals.
Mm-hmm.
Crystals are amazing because of course they're beautiful and they look amazing, but they're also really, really powerful because they're earth energy and they come from the earth and they enhance the earth energy of this year. As I said, this is the year of the earth pig. So it's enhancing that energy all year long. But also the number 8, which I mentioned a few times, is in the
Mm-hmm.
center. The number 8 is considered an earth energy also. So crystals, if you don't do anything else this year, get yourself a nice crystal and put it in the center of your home. If
Mm-hmm.
ideally if there's a table there or something where you can highlight it, that is an amazing enhancement for this year. Crystal energy in the center, or even if you can find where east or west is,
Mm-hmm.
that's going to enhance those other two numbers, the 6 and the 1 as well.
So a crystal in the center and east and west. So
Yes.
3 would
Mhm.
be ideal, it sounds like.
Yes.
Now,
Yes.
and does it make any difference if you have if your home is multiple stories? Does it need to be, up on top, or does it make any difference what floor it's on?
Well, actually, it does.
Hmm.
In Compass Feng Shui, the more stories you go up, the more intensified the energy is. So, if you wanted to access the most intense energy, it would be up at the top, maybe on your second floor, but the first floor is fine too, wherever
Mm-hmm.
it feels the best to you.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of Feng Shui to me is, how does it feel to you?
Mm-hmm.
And people, women especially, are very intuitive with where things should intuitively be placed.
Mm-hmm.
Like a lot of people will say to me, oh, this didn't feel right, or that I put it here because it felt like the right place, and then it really ends up that it is the right place to put like the crystal.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, so women I think are just very naturally intuitive to placing things.
Mm-hmm. So, what do you do if your house isn't a square or a rectangle? If it's like I've got, all the, people have put additions on over the years, and it's kind of all over the place. How do you work with that?
Yes. Well, you want to try to, you look at your floor plan. Ideally, if you have, the architect's blueprint, that's ideal, but that's not always possible. You can hand draw it yourself on a piece of paper. I've done that many times,
Mm-hmm.
but you do want to make it look like a complete, either square or rectangle.
Mm.
And so if you have, let's say you've got like a porch or a garage or something, you want to make a dotted line over
Mm.
and across to fill in that area.
Okay. Okay. So what if so let's say your east side is actually once you've made a rectangle, we'll say a rectangle, and that area is actually outside of the house when it's filled in and you've made a rectangle. So would you put your crystal outside then, or?
Yes, you definitely could. And yeah, you would want to consider that part of the whole of your floor plan. Yeah, it
Mm-hmm.
seems kind of strange, but yet you want to symbolically make it into a complete either square or rectangle. And
Mm-hmm.
that's a pretty basic feng shui kind of a rule is you want to make it into a shape that's going to be more in tune with the energy, and complete shapes are considered better than incomplete shapes. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, even if you wanted to, you could bury a crystal. If let's say it's in a place where people are walking, or it's
Mm.
not, you could put a little crystal in the earth. You could there's different little symbolic things you can do if it isn't a place where you would want to leave a crystal just sitting there.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Got it. Okay. All right. That's getting clearer to me now. Um, so so what are some of the other things that like I could see I'm my mind is turning because I'd like to work with you with my home. And I'm thinking, okay, now how could she do this not being in person? But I could see how if a person came up with the floor plan and scanned it in and sent that to you, and then
Yes.
yeah, and then you could use Skype or Zoom or something like that to work with someone
Oh
from a
yeah,
distance.
definitely.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I can definitely do distance feng shui. I just need your floor plan and talking to you about needs and what's going on in your space. And yeah, I've done that for people before. It doesn't have to be on site. On site is ideal, I think, because then I can get a sense of the energy of your space. But yeah, we can definitely long distance feng shui is possible and very effective.
Oh, cool. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's say there's a household with a fair amount of discord. There's arguing, people aren't getting along, or it's just, I know several families that, oh my God, they're just, it's so dysfunctional. What kinds of things without, if somebody couldn't, say, afford to have a feng shui session, what are some of the things that people could do to create a much better harmony? That would be the word I'd want, harmony in their home.
Oh yeah, that is such an issue for so many families, like you said. Well, and ideally this year, as I've been saying, the energy of this year is so much more harmonious in general than last year was.
Mm-hmm.
When we look at the numerology for 2019, it is the number 12, 3, which 12 reduces down to 3. And 3 is the number of joy and beauty and happiness. And this isn't in Chinese numerology, but
I was just going to say, because
yeah.
it's 3 in feng shui isn't a great number, but in numerology it is.
Yes. In numerology. Yeah. So I'm switching over into another one of my modalities, but it is, I like to combine Eastern with Western modalities in my work. And I think to me, that's just what feels right to me. And Chinese numerology, I like it, and even Chinese astrology sometimes hasn't really made the most sense to me. Especially because with Chinese astrology, everybody in one year is the same sign.
Right.
And that just seems like so general to me. I like to use it sometimes, but I like Western astrology and numerology better. But yeah, like I was saying, the number 12, which reduces to 3, that's such a beautiful number. And that's, 2019 is bringing us that kind of energy all year long. So in general, I think people will be feeling better. They'll be relating in more harmonious ways. But, when there is an issue, which of course, is bound to happen, you can look at everybody's individual Chinese and or Western astrology. You can look at somebody's, just your day of birth number. If you just look at that and look at how those numbers interact together, you can get a lot of information, just from numerology.
So if you were doing a date of birth number, you'd add the day, the month number, and the year, and then reduce it down.
Well, if you're just looking at day of birth numbers, like for example, my day of birth is 17.
Oh, so's mine.
Oh, hey, I love that number. 17 is a great number. It's an abundance number, Janine. It adds up to 8.
Ah, interesting.
Yes. And 17 is also the number of leaving a legacy. So your podcast is perfect for that because you're definitely leaving a legacy with that.
Oh, interesting. Thank you.
Yeah. So yeah, you can look at each individual family member's day of birth and see how those numbers interact with each other. You can look at their Western astrology sun signs and see how those interact together. There's so many layers that you can look at. and there's even human design, which I'm just starting to learn about. And I know you're interested in that
Mm-hmm.
too. And that's, another even much deeper layer. There's so many modalities that we have available to us. But, again, if you just look at numerology, you can tell so much and, get such a nice picture of people and how they interact together and, what people need to feel safe in their environment. And again, looking at your bedrooms really tell a lot about what's going on, especially with kids. If they have, kind of scary artwork, or if they, are spending a lot of time on video games, on screens, or,
Mm.
if they're in the dark a lot, those things are going to affect their energy, and they're
Mm-hmm.
going to affect their, abilities to feel good and to be able to interact with other family members. So yeah, looking at bedroom feng shui is extremely important. If you don't do anything, other than the clutter, like I said, that's the basic building block. Look at your bedroom. How are they sleeping? What kind of bed do they have? What's on their walls? What are they doing at night, before they go to sleep? Is it, on a screen? Are they on their phone? Are they
Mm-hmm.
listening to hard, heavy metal music? What's going on in that bedroom? Because that's going to tell a lot about, how they're feeling and how they're able to interact.
Mm-hmm. And I often think that, especially when you're talking about bedrooms and kids' bedrooms, when their bedroom is pretty neat and picked up and clean, it's kind of the macrocosm um, reflection of what's going on inside of them. And when it's this big
Yes.
mess and there's crap all over the place and wrappers and I see that as, I kind of take note of what's going on with them mentally and emotionally.
Yes, exactly. It's an outer reflection of what is happening within.
Hmm. And when I see a person's home is a big mess and there's stuff all over the place and it's dirty, and that to me is a reflection of how they're doing and how the family's doing.
Yes, exactly. That's exactly true. And, there's a feng shui kind of a quote or a saying, as within, so without.
Hmm.
It is exactly true. How your environment is, if it is clean and inviting and bright and warm and cheerful, that's how you're going to be feeling. But if your environment is dark or messy or dirty, especially children, they're really, really affected by that kind of environment. That's how they're going to be feeling as well.
Hmm. And I would think that even if you're in, not the best space, say you're feeling kind of depressed or you don't feel well or whatever, even if you can just clean up your space and declutter it a little bit, and that will also affect, it's like the chicken and the egg, which comes
Yes.
first, that will help to affect your emotional mental state in a more positive way.
Oh, yes, it definitely does. Well, like I was saying, before you even look at, any complicated formulas within feng shui, you need to declutter your space and clean. It's if you're working with a dirty foundation, you can't do feng shui over that because it's just not going to work.
Hmm.
It's not going to be as effective. So the first step is declutter, watch Marie Kondo's, show on Netflix, and spend a weekend with, some essential oil, diffusers, and that's going to make a huge, huge impact. And then you can go and look at, the more specifics of, the direction of your front door and, which number is in which particular area of your home. And you can get, obviously into some very deep levels with feng shui, but the basic building block is clean up, declutter, open your windows, let some fresh air in. It's spring, thank goodness. Beautiful weather here in California where I live, and which has brought a lot of pollen too, unfortunately. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, but it's, this kind of weather is perfect for, doing that decluttering and doing, bringing in that fresh energy because, again, that energy that you let in, that's the chi, that's the life breath of, the universe. And you want to be able to access that in your home.
Absolutely. Well, you've given me an idea because another person that I haven't done a recording with her yet, her name's Leanne Pruitt, and her company is Let's Ace Your Space.
Oh, I love it.
So, yeah, her whole thing is about decluttering and organizing. And I think what I'll do is when I'm deciding, when to upload these conversations, I'll definitely have hers after yours.
Oh,
So,
perfect.
yeah.
Yes. That would be perfect.
Yeah. So
I even work with decluttering companies sometimes because they go hand in hand. They really do. They, like I said, you really cannot do feng shui in a space that has clutter or that's dirty, or it's just not going to be as effective.
So from what you're saying, I would say that if somebody was thinking, wow, I'd really like to work with her, it would be a good idea to do some decluttering and cleanup before working with you.
Yes.
So that's definitely taken care of.
Yes, exactly. Because if you haven't, that's going to be my assignment for you to declutter.
And nobody really needs to pay you to say that because they know that. So they may as well get that done first and really pay you for your expertise, not pay you to tell them they need to clean up and declutter.
Exactly, right. Get it done first and then we can dive into feng shui.
Yeah. Now, you were talking when we were talking earlier, you said something about major energy points setting the stage for transformation. You want to talk about that a little bit?
Yes. Well, like I was mentioning, I like to combine Eastern knowledge with Western knowledge, and that includes numerology as well as astrology. And this year we have had some huge shifts astrologically. There have been some shifts that have happened that are major.
Okay.
And for example, we just had 5 full moons in a row at the 0-degree point, which is very unusual.
I was going to say, that sounds pretty unusual.
Yes, it's extremely unusual. And if I don't even know if it's ever happened before, maybe it has, but it's a very long time. So that when a lunation, like a new moon or a full moon or any kind of a astrological happening occurs at the 0-degree mark, it's considered, and this is bringing numerology into astrology, which I love to do. It's considered like a reset point. So this is 5 months in a row where we've had that, reset point given to us. So that's like a huge wake up call from the universe saying, hey, wake up, you have this beautiful opportunity to redo your life and to recreate it and to step up into, greater levels of abundance and joy. So that has been given to us. We just had the last one in March of 2019. So a lot of people have come through those 5 months feeling like, wow, I meant to do more. I meant to be of service, or I'm meant to, be a healer, or I'm meant to, do whatever your purpose is. I've heard so many people feeling like I'm called to really, live in my purpose. And it's because of this energy shift.
Wow. It sounds like this would be a good time to feel the fear and do it anyway.
Yes, exactly. Yes. Yes. And not only to feel the fear, but to listen to, what your heart is telling you, to really listen and to honor what, your heart is telling you, because there's a reason, if you're hearing the same, messages over and over, there's a reason. It's the universe talking to you.
Right. And if you're afraid, though, to actually take that step to move into something new, It sounds to me like from everything that you've said that this is the perfect time to do it, to move through that
Yes.
fear and take that first step.
Yes, yes, exactly. Well, yeah, as I've been saying, this year is the energy is supporting us. The energy isn't meant to challenge us so much this year, but it's meant to support us to move through that fear, to step up, to, have better relationships and to be abundant and to live in our purpose. And, we're all meant to be doing what our heart is called to do.
Mm-hmm.
We're not meant to be struggling and, unhappy and, feeling challenged. We're meant to be, self-actualized people. And this year it's really all about that. It's all about supporting us to be our best selves.
Mm-hmm. Sounds like it. Wow. So, Are any of the other planets supporting that? Especially some of the slower moving planets like Jupiter, Uranus, Chiron, those sorts of things. Are they supporting this
Yes.
helping us to move into who we are meant to be, following our soul purpose, whatever you want to call it?
Yes. Very much so. Yes. Well, for example, the planet Uranus has moved into the sign of Taurus. And Uranus moves very slowly. So the last time it was in Taurus was back in 1934 or so.
Okay.
So that was a while ago. Most of us, not even alive at that point in time, or not even born yet. And Taurus is all about the financial markets.
Okay.
Taurus is about our food systems. Taurus is about beauty, and Taurus is all about our homes. So I think a lot more people are going to be interested in Feng Shui. They're going to be interested in, how to make your home comfortable and beautiful and how to feel good within your home. Uranus, though, is about change. It's the planet of innovation and changes, and sometimes it brings sudden change. But where there's going to be changes maybe in our home lives and in our financial markets and in our food systems, this is still a much more supportive place for Uranus than when it was in Aries.
It was in Aries before Taurus?
It was just in Aries. So it's moved from Aries into Taurus just this year.
Okay.
And when it was in Aries is that masculine, active energy. And it's all about, Aries is about me. Aries is about me as a person and what I want and what's good for me. And so it was a very masculine energy. It was a very self-centered kind of an energy. Now that it's moved into Taurus, it's a much more feminine energy, and it's really a more balanced energy. So that's going to support so much more of really the remembering of the divine feminine energy within all of us. But especially, we're seeing so many instances of, women taking back their power, and, this whole Me Too movement has a lot to do with Uranus moving into Taurus. There's going to be a lot more shifts towards, a rebalancing of power between masculine and feminine.
Got it. Interesting. That sounds good.
It's going to be good. Yes. And there still could be some, unexpected changes. Like I said, Uranus is unexpected changes, but it's all pushing for society to be more balanced and to, be more healthy, and, especially with the food system changes that I think are going to come, like you and I were talking about that glyphosate issue. There's going to be much more awareness, I think, and much less tolerance of, poison being sprayed on our food. That's
awesome.
I think people are going to really rise up and say, no, I'm not going to, that's not okay with me. And people will listen, and there's going to be a lot of shifts in food and in financial systems too. So there's going to be a lot of changes coming, but it's all meant to rebalance our society.
Awesome. Any other planets that are contributing to this that you'd like to point out?
Yes. Yeah, there's a couple more. Like you mentioned, Jupiter. The planet Jupiter is about joy and expansion and happiness. And Jupiter moved, I think it was in November of 2018, from Scorpio into the sign of Sagittarius. And so it's considered in its home sign in Sagittarius. And Sagittarius is just a much more happy and kind of lighthearted energy than Scorpio. Scorpio, I think your sun sign is Scorpio, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah. Scorpio is considered, that kind of deep, dark, kind of heavier energy, not in a bad way. Every sign has its, it's positive and more shadow sides,
right.
But Jupiter in Scorpio was really, it influenced a lot of last year's, let's dig up all of our wounds from, ages past, and let's, lay them out on the table. And, that's why a lot of that was painful. So Jupiter in Sagittarius is like the opposite of that. It's, let's expand on our happiness and our joy, and let's, see the world, and let's meet new people, and let's be happy.
Got it.
Yes. And then Chiron is not, well, it's kind of a minor planet and an asteroid. But it is very important in astrology, and it represents the wounds that we have inside of ourselves, and especially what needs to be healed within ourselves. And Chiron spent a good chunk of time in Pisces. And Pisces is probably the most emotional, fantasy oriented kind of sign. So for Chiron to be in Pisces for so long was really challenging for a lot of people, especially for people like me. I'm a Pisces rising. It just was a very challenging time for the last 7 years or so. Again, even for people that don't have major Pisces aspects in their charts, a lot of people were feeling that, challenging, emotional breaking down of relationships, a lot of relationship kind of healing was going on. Now Chiron has moved into Aries, and that's a completely different energy. And really, Aries is the first sign of the zodiac, and Pisces is the last. Right. So it's a complete 180-degree change to have Chiron in Aries. It's much more positive. It's a much less painful kind of an energy. So we'll be feeling that as well. All of these aspects together, to me, are just, again, so much more supportive and positive, and pushing us to really step into our full potential as human beings, and to not have to suffer so much.
That would be lovely for all of us.
Yes. I agree completely.
So how, let's see, do you have any advice for how one could make the most of this, or take the best advantage of all of this energy of what you've been talking about that's happening this year?
Yes, definitely. Well, like you mentioned a little bit ago, if you're feeling fear, that's okay. It's a time to feel that fear, but to move through it, and to know that you're being supported, and that your best self is waiting on the other side. This is like a hopeful energy to me. This is a time to know, that there is hope, that life is going to get better, that listen to your heart, really listen to, what your heart is telling you, and to trust it.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't do anything else, do that. Listen, meditate, get into that space of really trusting yourself. That is the most important thing to do, is, to trust and love yourself. I created a course with a partner that we did a couple months ago called Cosmic Love Goddess. And really the basic underlying principle of the whole 6-week course was, it was all about loving yourself. Self-love is really the key to having all of this in your life.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And I think your advice about following your heart is important, because from my perspective, it's important to make decisions from our heart, not our mind, because the mind can justify anything, any decision, any choice. But your heart is really where the truth of who you are is, and that's what needs to be in alignment.
Yes, exactly. Beautifully said.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Is there anything else you'd like to add in or make sure you get across that you haven't talked about yet?
Oh my goodness, we covered so much.
I know, we really did.
Yes. I am just so grateful again to you for having me here. And, I hope that this was inspirational for whoever's been listening. And, I know you'll give them ways to contact me. I would love to work with anyone who wants to go deeper. And I'm just so excited, to share this information with people. We have so much that we can work with. There's so much. When I first learned Feng Shui, I was just so excited about it, because it really gave me hope that, yes, you can change your life just by setting the intention alone. But then there are so many amazing tools that are out there, that we can use to create our lives the way that, we really want them to be. So, we're not stuck with the way things are. We have the power to change our world, just of our own, using our own inner magic. So I think that's what I would love to, leave everyone with is, we're all powerful creators, and that is within every one of us, the ability to change our lives and to manifest whatever we want.
Yes. Well said. So how can people reach you, Lisa?
People can reach me on my Instagram. I'm really more active on Instagram than Facebook. It is at Lisa Feng Shui, FENGSHEUI.
Okay.
And I post every day. I post about the day's energy, and I combine astrology and numerology and feng shui every day.
Cool.
And there's, I love doing that. And also my phone number.
Okay.
Yes.
Which is?
So it is 760-845-9710.
Great. So I will also be putting those on the webpage.
Perfect. Thank you.
Awesome. Well, this has been a delight, and I love the little twists and turns that we took, and and I think it is an inspiring conversation, and especially for someone who knows that they can do more, they can be more, and they're just unsure of moving forward, and people are afraid of failing and doing the wrong thing and making the wrong choices. And, it sounds like this, if you're ever going to do it, this is the time to take that step to move into who you really are and what you're here to do. And if Lisa can help you in that endeavor, please contact her.
Yes, I would love that.
Great. Well, thank you so much, Lisa. It took us a bit to get together.
Yes, it did, but we did it.
Even Skype tried to stymie us. I couldn't believe it.
But we made it through.
We did, yes. See, there's that pushing through, right? Because
Yes,
I was
yes.
wondering, well, and you were too, should we give up or,
Well, I'm so glad we didn't. This was really fabulous. Thank you so much for having me.
No, you're welcome. Thank you and take care.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you for listening, and thank you so much, Lisa Garcia, for sharing your expertise on this truly fascinating topic. I hope many of you will follow her advice, her guidelines, and really get a hold of her and work with her if you feel that it would help you to move forward. And I know I am going to be adding her to my Instagram. I'd love to get daily inspirational Instagram posts. The podcast website is realjanine.com, where you can listen to and download episodes. Please sign up for the podcast bi-weekly blog newsletter to keep up on new episodes, archives, life updates, and healthy recipes. And remember, Janine is Janean. To subscribe to Keeping It Real with Janine, go to iTunes or your favorite podcast provider. You can find the podcast YouTube channel by searching Real Janine if you prefer video slideshows of my conversations. So please go to YouTube and subscribe. That would be lovely. Do you know someone who would benefit from my conversation with Lisa Garcia? I'll bet you do. Please share the love and take care and be well. Until next time, bye.